Good morning. Good morning. I'm Reverend Elisha Christopher. I use they, them pronouns. My ancestors came to this country from Ireland and Scotland, Holland, and Austria, and everywhere else in the world. Let's begin by taking a few breaths together, shall we? So exhale first. Take a deep breath in. And let it go. Take another deep breath. Breathe in. Let it go. Another deep breath. Breathe in. And let go. So I'm going to begin this morning by reading you a poem that Marcia Heath actually sent me earlier this week. So thanks for this, Marcia. This speaks, I think, as we came up last week after everything that's been unfolding in the world, I keep finding myself with this question of what to do, what to say, how to hold this moment in time. And there's a poem that was written last week by someone named Rabbi Erwin Keller. And I just want you to listen to these words. Today, I am taking sides. I am taking the side of peace. Peace which I will not abandon, even when its voice is drowned out by hurt and hatred, bitterness of loss, cries of right and wrong. I am taking the side of peace whose name has barely been spoken in this winnerless war. I will hold peace in my arms and share my body's breath, lest peace be added to the body count. I will call for de-escalation even when I want nothing more than to get even. I will do it in the service of peace. I will make a clearing in the overgrown thicket of cause and effect so peace can breathe for a minute and reach for the sky. I will do what I must to save the life of peace. I will breathe through the tears. I will swallow the pride. I will bite my tongue. I will offer love without testing for deservingness. So don't ask me to wave a flag today unless it is the flag of peace. Don't ask me to sing an anthem unless it is a song of peace. Don't ask me to take sides unless it is the side of peace. Which is basically everything I wanted to tell you today. That's it. Last week the question I brought forth to all of us was, how do I be the peace in the storm, not become a piece of the storm? Right? And that's our work right now. That is the work for all of us. Not just in the midst of this moment that's happening in Israel and between Israel and Palestine and Gaza, not just what's happening in Ukraine and Russia, not just what's happening in our United States and our politics, not just what's happening in our bodies, not just what's happening in the planet. It's all of it. Right? How do we, each one of us, truly choose the side of peace as the deepest spiritual practice that is in front of us right now? Because I believe wholly and completely that the universe, that God, that spirit, that life itself is always inviting us into something deeper. And this moment right now, globally, is an invitation for all of us to ground into peace as a quality of the divine in a whole new way. Because there is opportunity everywhere we look to choose a side. There's opportunity everywhere we look to see an us versus a them. But there's also opportunity everywhere we look to look for our humanity. There's opportunity everywhere we look to look for our oneness. There's opportunity everywhere we look to look for what we have in common. We've all heard it said there's two sides to every story. And then there's the truth. Right? What is the truth that we are seeking? What is the deeper truth that is seeking to reveal itself in each one of us as the world, as humanity, through all that's happening that's evoking something from us right now? Because we live in a moment of invitation. And the invitation to each one of us is, how do I walk in peace? Right? And it's not just how we hold what's happening somewhere else in the world. Right? Walking in peace is a practice that will show up for us every day if we're willing to look for it. Right? How do I hold peace in the interactions that we have on a daily basis? How do we hold peace and not harbor judgment, not harbor resentment, not think about how someone else should be doing something differently, and hold peace, hold love, hold that deep center within ourselves? Because the only way peace is going to show up in the world anywhere is if each one of us cultivates it in ourselves first. And that we learn to be the place where peace resides. Because if we look to someone else to bring that peace, if we look for it to show up somewhere else, we're going to constantly have to go back and look within ourselves. What would it look like for you, for me, for each one of us to just walk in peace today? How would that affect how you walk out the door? How would that affect how you drive? How would that affect how you treat the people who are serving you when you go to a gas station or a restaurant or a grocery store? How would peace show up when you speak to that family member or that neighbor who has different political opinions than you? How would peace show up when you're watching the news or the current events that are happening in the world? How does that peace look inside of you in each of these moments? Because every moment there's an opportunity to be in courting this quality of peace, to be developing a relationship with it, to be inviting it into our lives. We also have to start deeply cultivating a vision of what peace could look like. Right? And I don't think that peace is necessarily the absence of conflict. Right? Peace is a way through conflict. Right? How do we imagine an idea of peace that's so big, so beautiful, so sexy, so captivating, that it's not just the absence of war, that it's not just the absence of hatred, that it's not just the absence of that which doesn't look like peace, but it's something that grabs us and calls us and pulls us forward. Right? In the Centers for Spiritual Living, we have a process called visioning, which many of our centers use and we teach at some of our classes, which is about sitting and listening and asking deep questions and waiting for that answer to come through. And over the course of about a decade, our Centers for Spiritual Living, the leaders within this organization, did a long process of visioning, asking this question: what is our vision of the world that we want to live in? What is our vision as an organization, as a global movement, of what we are holding for humanity, for the world, for the peace that we want to see? And we have developed something that we call our global vision. And I'm going to read you an abbreviated version of that this morning. And I want to just invite you for a moment to close your eyes and just take a deep breath and imagine this version of peace for a moment. This is our global vision for the Centers for Spiritual Living. We see a world that works for everyone, where all life is honored as expressions of the divine, where people live according to spiritual truth, where humanity awakens to spiritual magnificence, where humanity rediscovers personal creative power, where we live as one global family, where kinship with all life prospers, where unity and connection is emphasized, where forgiveness is the norm, where spiritual guidance is valued, and where we are all called to conscious social action. A world where people have enough food, homes, and a sense of belonging. A world where there is peace, harmony, and justice for all. Where our resources are valued, cared for, and shared. Where communities are meaningfully involved in service to the world. Where there is a renewed emphasis on beauty, nature, creativity, and art. Take a deep breath in. The thing that I love about our global vision for CSL that we hold is, on one, it's a great big vision. It feels like something we have to reach for. It feels like something that's bigger than perhaps I can build on my own. But it also has many invitations within it. There's this line where forgiveness is the norm. What would it look like for each one of us to walk through our lives as if forgiveness was our default mode? Would you be different if forgiveness was the norm for you? Right? A world where we are called to conscious social action. What does it look like for you and for me, for this community, to be involved in conscious social action? To value and care for our resources, to share what we have. There are actions that each one of us can take to bring little bits of peace into the world. We can do it one choice at a time, one interaction at a time. And the reason that I love the global vision is because for me, it becomes a guiding light. It becomes a little North Star on my map as I go through life to say, you know what, there is a bigger vision that's calling us. There is something that this place, that all of our spiritual work, that all that we are working on is in service to. It's to build the world that we want to live in. And that world that we want to live in is built by choice. It's built by thought. It's built by words. It's built by interactions. What can I possibly do to make a difference? Asked 8 billion people. If each one of us realizes that we can contribute to a bigger vision, to a greater idea of what the world is calling from us, to use that which is rising up in front of us, all that looks like it's not working, as our invitation to take a step in a direction. Right? Think of the prayer of St. Francis, right? Where there is hatred, let me be love. Where there is darkness, let me bring the light. Where there is suffering, let me bring the joy. Whatever we see in the world that looks like not peace, that's your invitation to bring the opposite of that into existence. And each one of us can do it one little bit, one little choice, one little interaction at a time. We can spread peace. What would it look like for us to be a people who wage peace upon the planet? Right? Let us be warriors of peace. Let us realize that our weapons are not weapons of war, but we have powers of peace. We who choose to live in alignment with the one truth, with the one life, with the one love, with the one heart, when we access that, it can work through us. Right? We've said for 100 years in New Thought, there's a power for good in this universe. It is greater than we are, and you can use it. And I want to invite us to the next level of that saying, to say, you know what, there is a power for good in this universe. It's greater than we are. Let each one of us open to be used by it and be in service to it. right? Because this idea that there are powers, that there are resources, that there are people, that there are things in this world that we can use for our benefit is probably the problem itself. So let's look to the nature of the universe and ask ourselves, how can we be in service to it? How can it use us? How can each one of us be an opening for peace, be an opening for the vision, be an opening for possibility, be an opening for something more? And that's our work, individually and also as a community and as a global family. We are all being called up to be something more than we've ever been before. And what I know is that if we don't make the change, the issues, the problems, the wars, all of the separation and division, it's just going to keep growing until we take it as a wake-up call to be so radically different than we've been before that we become the place where something different happens. But we have to do it. And it will persist until we choose something different. So take a deep breath in. I have one more poem for you today. And I will end with this, and we'll move to prayer after this poem. This is called The Sleep of Prisoners, and it's written by Christopher Fry. And it goes like this. The human heart can go to the lengths of God. Dark and cold we may be, but this is no winter now. The frozen misery of centuries breaks, cracks, begins to move. The thunder is the thunder of flows, the thaw, the flood, the upstart spring. Thank God our time is now, when wrong comes up to face us everywhere, never to leave us till we take the longest stride of soul we ever took. Affairs are now soul-sized. The enterprise is exploration into God. Where are you making for? It takes so many 1,000 years to wake, but will we wake for pity's sake? Take a deep breath. If it's comfortable for you, close your eyes. And take another deep breath in. And so as we breathe together, I just remind each one of us that we are being breathed by something greater than we are. That it is the universe, it is the life of the earth, it is God, it is consciousness, it is life itself that is breathing through each one of our bodies. We are being animated by a life force. We are being lived by something so much greater than we can comprehend. Each one of us is part of the great seamlessness, the one that is living and breathing in throughout everyone and everything throughout the entirety of the universe, one seamless presence, one field of energy, one consciousness. I call it God. But what I know is that that seamless presence, that oneness, that infinite mind, it is the truth of who each one of us is. It is that life force that is coursing through us. Each one of us in this room, each one of us on this planet, everyone who has ever lived are the emanations of this one life. So let us step ever deeper into that one truth itself in a way that we never have before. Let us awaken in this moment to realize that there is no separation between any one of us, that we truly are all one. Not only are we the one life, we are one global family. We are part of the earth life. That whatever we do to the other, we do to ourselves. And so let us rise today into a new level of awareness that each one of us is the place where peace is showing up in the world. That each one of us is saying yes to the invitation to see and be and to do in a new way. The world is calling for us to rise to new levels of conscious action, to new levels of conscious awareness, to new levels of doing and being in the world that bring about peace, that bring about possibility, that stand for love. Let that be who we are. Let each one of us be the place where peace walks upon the earth. Let each one of us be the place where peace is spoken. Let each one of us be the place who is able to see peace, to be the peace in the storm. And so in this moment, I just bring a word of gratitude for this place, for this community, for each one of us here who are seeking the something more, who are asking those deeper questions of ourselves, who are seeing that invitation and saying yes. And as we do so, let us open to surrender, to realize that there's something greater at work here. We need to open ourselves to be a place where it happens. Let each one of us allow ourselves to be used by life itself, in service to life itself. Because we've fallen so deeply in love with the one that we're able to see it in the other. And so, giving thanks for this time in this place, I just say yes. And so it is. Thank you, friends. Lori.